Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this Spark Series live reference event featuring One TCC. My name is Joshua Coleman with the North America Customer Success and Reference Team. Joining us today is a CEO of One TCC, Sanjay Bonde, who will speak to their decision to grow from a legacy NetSuite ERP system to SAP S/4HANA Cloud Public Edition. So I'm going to go ahead and start it off with an introduction. Sanjay Bonde is a chairman and CEO of One TCC. Is a global expert of strategic finance, supply chain finance, and M&A, and corporate development. With experience across Europe, Asia, and US, he has led cross-functional teams in finance, product development, marketing, and talent management. Sanjay also chairs Monarch Tractors and has held leadership roles in Bristlecone Inc. and Mahindra Finance. He's founded Gen Z, an electric vehicle company, and Bonde Ventures, an advisory firm. Based in Menlo Park, there we go. He advises CEOs and boards, mentors entrepreneurs, and also taught business strategy at the Presidio Graduate School. Sanjay holds executive education from Harvard and LSE and an MBA from the University of Mumbai, and a BE in electronics and electrical power engineering. That's a mouthful, Sanjay. So thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it, and a pleasure to have you here. So I'm just going to go ahead and start it off really easy, Sanjay. So just tell me a little bit about you, your company, and your role with the company over at One TCC.
Trade Capital Corporation is we have a platform that delivers capital efficient supply chains for global corporations. And so what we do is essentially manage inventory and materials for large corporations in the pharmaceutical, automotive, high-tech, industrial space in a way that manages supply chains more efficiently. As you already know, supply chains are global, very complex, and this is where SAP is very, very strong. And so my job here at TCC or a platform One TCC is to be able to get all of these pieces together, the most complex pieces together, and build out an incredible outcome for our global clients. That's what we do.
And then within the company, what is your role exactly? And what do you do within your role?
My role is a CEO, but I'm a more democratic and more, consensual leader. I'd like to listen to my teams. Our teams are very empowered. So at TCC, my role is essentially to be able to bring the best practices, the best brains, the best talent, the best practices together, and to be able to harness all of this intelligence in one place, and making it conducive for everyone to collaborate so that we can have a great software platform that the world can look up to. That's kind of the role that I look at for myself.
When you're going through this, what were some of the challenges that led you to actually needing to upgrade from your legacy system to SAP?
The most important thing that I was looking for is how do we serve our global clients in a way that our systems, our architecture, our business processes are matched one-to-one with them. Coming from an SAP background, I know the efficacy of the solution. I also know how it delivers really good and tight outcomes, how the process controls work. And so for me, I think that was a really important motivator. The other part was also, I think, as a starter system, there were many systems that we had looked at previously. And we started off with Oracle NetSuite. And coming from an SAP background, we were able to understand the differences. We can understand to where the depth of the solution is. And it was an easier decision for us to migrate to SAP.
And what were the main things on Oracle NetSuite that you were looking to be able to do that you couldn't?
I think we faced degrees of difficulty at various proportions, from mid to high, when we had to look at multiple currencies, multiple geographies, the cost structure per transaction, the ability for us to build out and scale our platform to the levels we were able to see where we would suffer handicaps. Not only were there clear benefits to do this immediately, but in the long term, it was a clear winner for us. And so I think coming from the manufacturing background, the supply chain background, production background, supply management, all of that, I think SAP stands out, and we already know it's one of the best solutions out there. So it was a matter of when we take it up, not if we take it up. And I think we did make that conscious decision early in our career, for which I'm very, very happy.
What were some of the other systems you looked at, and what made you ultimately choose SAP?
We did look at Microsoft and also, of course, the NetSuite at the time, and we compared. Initially we looked at SAP as well, but we were a smaller team, and I was worried whether we would be able to pull off with the resources that we had immediately the SAP implementation. I think when we made the first choice, we thought about it being a starter system. And since the efficacy of the solution was very well known to us, our migration plus path was very clearly defined. And I think the decision at the time, which was a couple of years ago, to do NetSuite was based on what we could use as a starter system.
Okay, so NetSuite was a starter system. That's fine. Okay, so and then when you need to upgrade to get more, different countries, different currencies, etc. You mentioned you looked at a couple different ERP systems, a couple different companies, including SAP. Which other companies did you look at that point?
Well, actually, at that point, the decision was pretty clear because we did not actually, we knew what the others would do. So we just looked at and compared the benefits of SAP versus Oracle NetSuite. That's what we did.
Oh, okay.
And we looked at it holistically from every angle: procure to pay, order to cash, the supply chain, treasury management, the integrated business planning. We looked at many tools. I spent a lot of time personally looking at the different modules, and it had evolved over the time. So my knowledge of SAP is somewhat dated, but I understand business processes. So we did go back and check, and I immersed myself to understand what the benefits were. And I think it was an easier decision for us.
Can you talk about your journey to your selection of Grow SAP S/4HANA Cloud Public Edition? What was your landscape before and after? What does it look like now? What other different disparate solutions, and how are they connected? What does it look like now?
Oh, we are delighted. I cannot overemphasize that. So I think the most important thing was, in public cloud, you're not looking at managing maintenance and upgrades and things like that, the feature. Plus the usability. If you look at the UX, UI of the system, the interconnectability of them, the intuitive nature of some of these business processes, I think was night and day. And our ability to use them was further improved by the best practices that the system offered. And we would actually go into archives and look at different use cases, different case studies, the business best practices, and overlay that with our own business best practices that we wanted to bring about, and try and match all of these together. I think the wealth of the data, the UX, the ability for any person who could join us tomorrow as we grow, be able to use SAP was incredible. I think it's one of the best choices we made. SAP Signavia is one of my favorite tools. I use it. I'm using it beyond the brief that perhaps it was built for, and we are excessive users of that. We've also got the SAP Sales Cloud. I mean, we've gone across many solutions that we are looking to build out in our instance.
Tell me about Signavio. How did you use it, and what difference did it make in your process development?
SAP Signavio's ability for us to understand business processes at each and every step, the ability for us to add standard operating processes, work instructions, also to look at how we are managing our business, whether we are compliant with our operations process or not. All of that in an integrated way with SAP was never done before. You would have independent workflow solutions, but you would not have something integrated with an ERP where you can actually track and trace and go into the depths of the ERP solution from the workflows. We had looked at other solutions, but at the moment, I think we're very happy with SAP Signavio, and Joule is the next one that I think we're going to be working with.
Now, you mentioned Joule. Tell me about AI. How are you utilizing AI currently, and how do you plan on utilizing AI in the future?
Every business process that we think about can be managed better, can be managed at a much higher level of productivity than before. Our goal is to get to 25 or $30 billion of assets under management. As a small company, to aspire to get there is not trivial. We cannot do this by adding lots and lots of people and lots of expensive resources. We have to be nimble and we have to be agile. We have to be intelligent. And I think we're going to toy with each of these tools available. And AI is already helping us immensely. Couple that with business process design, couple that with a public cloud, that's evolving to the next levels in its usability. We've got an impeccable combination here.
Can you talk to the importance of choosing the right implementation partner?
Yes, we digressed a little bit here because we decided that we would take a bulk of the SAP implementation in house, and we had capabilities in our team. Many of us people are very proficient in SAP. We understand business best practices very well. We are process driven, data driven. So why don't we take it up ourselves? So we did do that internally. In the record 67 days, we implemented a public cloud. It's kind of unheard of. And I think there was a challenge that we had to take upon ourselves. We either take on the challenge of change management or to implement with your team and therefore make the change management process easier for our team. And so that they can take ownership of the business processes. They can actually handwrite the processes they would like to see. And we deferred in that. That gave us speed, and we could implement. We also a good amount of ownership and ease in change management.
Can you just tell me how many days did it take you again?
It took us end-to-end 67 days.
67 days to implement Grow Public Cloud. And this was not a phased approach. It was a big bang, right? Just one and done.
No, we never looked back. We knew that we were out of an ERP on a particular date. We had to get it done. 67 days is exactly the date it took for our team. We have a team all over the world that collaborated on this, by the way. A small team, but still. And all the business leaders, we had our CFO, Kulshekhar, the head of treasury, Purva Divekar, we had our supply chain team, JS Iyer, and the team. Everybody collaborated. I would say there wasn't anybody in our team who did not have something to do with the implementation that we took over at TCC.
I do know, I met some of your IT team and they're fantastic, ridiculously smart people. How many users daily access does S/4HANA Cloud, and how many legal entities and countries are you working in?
And we have centralized IT team. So I think our user licenses are 25 and I think it'll increase up to 50. We are, as I said, we are a young company, which is about 4 years old. But that includes the entire, procure to pay, order to cash, finance and treasury, logistics, warehouse, sales. We're also looking at our own tools that would be then incorporated and integrated with this. So that's the total number. We have European subsidiaries in here. So we are multi-currency. As at the get-go, we decided we'll be multi-currency. So we are multi-currency implementation in 67 days, public cloud.
Yeah. And how many people globally do you have on your IT team that helped implement and maintain?
We have about a total of less than 10 people that look at this. And I think that also talks to how we approached it and how the ease and flexibility public cloud allows us to implement. Now, please also note that our team was very conversant with SAP to begin with. Our team was also very conversant with business best practices. So we have very well documented and defined processes, and we continue to do a better job of that. We had passed quality audit for a pharmaceuticals company, which tells you that we actually have got our documentation in place. And then it was about users and bringing them on board. Also, the instance that we had created previously gave us a lot of learnings. So we took the benefit of all of this. And the leadership team, all of the leadership team was fully involved.
Question from the chat. You mentioned best practices and Signavio. S/4HANA Cloud Public Edition contains hundreds of best practices. Why was Signavio then needed? Why improve best practices even further?
Well, I think there are two different things. The business best practices are already there. You can actually search for them and tailor them. But we also want to then create your own business best practices and tailor some of that. You have to keep a clean core. Then there are certain elements that are really important to us. such as what are the SLAs we would like to run by? What assurances and guarantees do we give to our clients, our bankers, our insurance, our warehouse providers, etc.? How do we measure them? How do we make sure that our controls are appropriately put together in place? How do we make sure that we can have compliance and accountability? Yeah, and continue to build on that. That's where Signavio actually helps us to manage our business processes really well.
Did you have a DDA, a digital discovery assessment, when you started this whole process?
I think we had a light one, not a very detailed one. But we did do a discovery process. We did understand which processes are relevant for us. I think that was very helpful. And we also went through a lot of libraries that were available for us.
How did you experience the DDA process, which SAP uses to standard identifying scope, priorities, et cetera, to be activated?
Well, I think this is a great question for our CTO, so I'll have to defer it to him. But we did have a starter system available for us that we could play with and understand, how the process overall works. When we did attend Sapphire, and it was very, very helpful for our teams to attend that. And we went through several of those presentations and talked to the teams in Orlando as well as in Barcelona, because we have Europe and Americas both, and we were able to get a lot of details. Several people from SAP's consulting group, sales team, pre-sales team helped us, not only in the Americas, but also we reached out to people in Germany, and they're very prompt and very supportive. So we got all of that.
We hear this myth that SAP is too big for small, medium-sized companies. If you were to meet with a mid-market, smaller company, and they just said, SAP is way too big for me, what advice would you give to them based on your experience now?
Well, I don't think people should make an opinion before seeing things themselves. So first of all, that I think SAP has evolved a lot, and I can tell you the ease and the use is dramatically different. The tools available are dramatically different, and I would say that we are a small company, but if you look at the business that we aspire to grow to, it's in the billions. We had to make sure that our solution was capable of getting to that level. We cannot change our solution in midway in the next 5 years. I think there are 4 areas which are very important. First of all, can our business best practices evolve further? And the answers are clear, yes. Is it easy to deploy when you are fully thought through? When you're fully thought through, yes. The third element is that there are newer tools that can allow you to implement faster. And there are newer tools that may necessitate that you don't need to get everything that you had previously thought about. And I think you can optimize your solution as you go. And fourth, I think people think that the degree of difficulty in a large-scale implementation, just because it's an SAP environment, sometimes we mistake change management for implementation. And I think the degree of difficulty is more in managing change and mindsets than it is actually in implementing a system.
One of the things that is really important is when you're going through implementation is change management, people change management. How did you address this with your company?
Change management process initiated with everyone participating and defining the scope of what we really want our platform to be like. Change management process is a function of your leadership team candor and what their aptitude is for newer systems, and also their either a sense of security with being able to change and not feel inundated if things go wrong. We can fail, and we tell people that it's okay if it's not right the first time. We'll quickly fail fast. We can quickly change and iterate and come back and make it better.
The other thing that's drastically underestimated in the implementation is data management. How did you and your company manage the data management side of things when you're going through your change?
We had a team that actually just was looking at data transfer from the previous system and how do we architect the new solution. There were redundancies, we realized. There were also processes that we had changed in flight. We actually looked at operations data and master data plus configuration processes, all of them separately. And I think being public cloud helped, so we actually could port in quite swiftly.
Nice. Sanjay, you started working with NetSuite first, but can you mention some concrete examples of why you so quickly outgrew that ERP?
Well, it's interesting. This is a very interesting. It didn't outgrow because the workload or something was something that perhaps Oracle or NetSuite can't handle. It's just that I think the facilities, the capabilities. If you look at a dollar to dollar comparison of what we would get and the depth that we would get, we actually pegged and understood the kind of needs we would have between 2 to 5 years from now, and we had to make the change now because we could not afford to change mid-cycle. When we understand this is what we would forego if we just continued, I think there was fait accompli for us. We had to get to, and that's again for our business process. We are manufacturing, supply chain, production, logistics, warehousing, and finance deep. So we had to make a change because of the benefits of the solutions that was on hand. We didn't outgrow because of transaction load being high or anything like that. We also thought that it will be much more cost effective for us to move on right now, which it is quite cost effective for us. So,
how did adopting a cloud-based solution improve ways of working, innovating, and collaborating with others within your organization and outside your organization?
Within has been quite much more effective. We can actually onboard any of our new employees and any of our team members in record time. We can give them privileges. We can help them through their help desk and everything else. It works beautifully. Externally, integration wise, we're looking at the SAP integration suite and many other elements that we have. We are looking to get in the coming months or quarters, depending on our need. We're also looking at external solutions as well. We'd do a composite analysis, but I would say internally was really effective, prompt, and very helpful. It has drawn camaraderie between our teams. Externally, the SAP efficacy of the system, the reporting, the ability for people to understand the integration elements. We speak the same language. Most of our clients use SAP. Most of our suppliers might use SAP too. I think the supplier base is smaller, so there's an opportunity for them to move to SAP. But when we deal with clients that are actually using SAP, it's a very natural and homogeneous conversation.
How do you access historical information from the NetSuite days, for example, for audit support or any tax inquiries, et cetera?
That's a great subject, I think, for our CFO and treasurer. But I think they did get some reporting, etc. I think the reporting suite right now in SAP is more powerful. There's one that we are also looking at adding advanced financial elements later on, like bank connectivity and so on, which we haven't done this just yet. But there's a pathway for us to get there. I'm not acutely aware of the exact mechanics of reporting, but we have a very sophisticated finance and treasury team, which I think takes care of it.
If you had to do this all over again, what would you do differently and why?
I think I would perhaps look at creating a center of excellence, additionally to record all the things that we've done, so that the next generations of leaders who come in can benefit from it. The second thing I would do is give a little bit more resources to my team. I think, being a young company, I'm sure behind my back, they must have been asking for more, but they pulled it off. So I'm sure they're happy, but they would have benefited if I gave them a little bit more. And by the way, we are happy to help anybody who would like to be on this journey. Our team is very happy to help. We can help you with the best practices and things we've learned along the way.
Man, we'll put your contact information on the video so people can reach out to you. So, in light of TCC's partnership with SAP and the implementation of SAP Suite Solutions, what unique advantages does TCC now offer to the industry that set it apart from competitors?
The biggest difficulty in the industry is that supply chains are capital heavy. And inventories are kind of the what drags efficiency, liquidity, and cash flows. What we do is target material flows, inventory holding patterns, warehouses, and how inventory should be buffered, stocked, funded, and all of that. So there's a new generation of supply chain that's emerging, and we are building that out so that companies can work with the thinnest level of capital invested in their supply chains, is notably raw materials and sometimes finished goods. Can you run with near zero raw materials and big manufacturing entity for a Fortune company? Very likely, yes. Apple does it. Not everybody can, but I think we could make that work.
I know you haven't been live for a long time, but what are some of the top successes that you've seen since you implemented S/4HANA Cloud Public Edition?
Process control, very important. For leaders like CEOs, etc., the biggest thing that takes away their sleep is the governance and the controls adequate or not? Compliance. For me personally, I think a governance and compliance that I can live up with and can sleep with would be great. And is great. So that's the biggest benefit that I got, I think. The other one was team camaraderie. So the way that our teams interact with each other is just music. The next one is, I think, the dashboards, the ability to showcase what's going on, pictorial depictions, reporting, in-flight ability to add entities, currencies, all of that, and then onboard disparate supply chains onto our platform. I think that's heavy. Not all companies are the same. Once you do a pharma company, the process for a pharma company is going to be very different than an automotive company, and we can get all of that within our single instance, which is incredible.
My last question for you is, what is next for TCC?
I think there is a pathway for us to onboard many other solutions, and we'll have to see which ones are immediate and which ones should be for the future. We are building our own tool sets that will get integrated. We have an acquisition underway, which I cannot talk about, of another independent bespoke platform that perhaps might get integrated here. We're also looking to build on integration, AI tools, autonomous supply chains, financial capabilities, blockchain. All of those are on our design, and step by step, as we get further along and deploy more resources, all of these would be brought in. We have a pathway for it.
Actually, I have another question, because you just said something that sparked something. When you, as a CEO, when you're looking to acquire a company, does their solution set, does their ERP system, does that make a deciding factor at all in your decision?
I think if we have a core good engine, we know that ultimately we'll migrate everything towards a much more effective, robust, and usable, user-friendly system, which I think is what we got. So I don't. It's a matter of time that we will make it harmonize, and which should be the case. But I wouldn't consider that to be an impediment. I would not consider that to be a key driver. I think the business value proposition, what they bring to the table, what's the client value proposition, what sort of where does it take us along our future vision and pathway, that surmounts everything else.
That makes sense. Absolutely. Well, Sanjay, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. Appreciate your insight, your expertise. On 67 days is pretty impressive. That's the fastest I've seen yet. So congratulations on that. And if anybody out there has any questions for Sanjay, please look him up on LinkedIn. We can put the information out there. I'm sure his website's out there as well. It's really simple. You want to throw your website out there, 1tcc.com, if I'm going from memory.
Yep. Yes, that's 1tcc.com.
Perfect. And again, thank you all so much. Appreciate your time for joining us, and we'll see you all on the next one.